Hi, I'm Roy Moore with the Scout Patch Auction, and I am joined by significant and longtime collector, Michael Feigenbaum of New York. But Michael is particularly significant in our movement because he helped design the OA images for our brand and for our memorabilia, and for what we're now going to do as a second segment here on the next generation of design that Michael brought to the movement starting in the early 70s. Michael is a professional graphic artist by training and profession, and he brought that expertise the Boy Scouts never had before in making us a more modern organization. So Michael, thank you for sharing this with us. What are we going to talk about here?
Well, I don't know. Did I talk about this?
Well, let's show this again. This is a transition from, what do you call this?
This is the Red Arrow Award to award to people who aren't members of the Order of the Arrow. And the first one was given to Judy Hudak, who was doing all the making of emblems for many, many years. I worked with her very closely.
She was on the National Office staff.
Yes, she was in charge of making custom-made emblems and neckerchiefs, and she was wonderful. And I designed that award, and they gave that to her.
So think of it, it's like the OA Distinguished Service Award for non-Order of the Arrow members.
Right, right.
And that was, again, first issued, you mentioned it here in the early 70s, 75, 77 time period.
I really don't know.
Well, okay.
But anyway, then we ran out of Vigil certificates. The printer that did them, they were engraved, was no longer there. They had to find a new printer, and there was no artwork. So I had to do the new artwork. Here's a reduced version of the Vigil Order of the Arrow.
That's
Right.
that's the band or the...
Right. And this was actually not exactly the original size. I did it much larger, maybe 5 times larger, and then pieced it together because it was very detailed. I reduced it there, and then I reduced it again, and this was the certificate that was done.
Well,
I wanted it as good as the one that was done as an engraving, and it was engraved. So that was done.
well, and again, though, we mentioned it on another video, earlier segment about this. This was all done by hand. This is in the pre-computerized...
Well, yeah, well, the lettering, I found the lettering to match the
original lettering, right,
which they put into the computer, and I had to do by hand the top lettering, okay? The top lettering, okay? So it was very meticulous, very exact, and I did things very exact. So then, sometime later, they said, we want the associates in the office to put in people's names, and we have a machine that can print out the certificate and drop in their names. So I found the type style that was very matching, and I did this certificate. So this must still be around today. Okay, I don't know. So that's very interesting.
And so it's the evolution of the Vigil certificates. Obviously, it's the highest award of the 3 degrees within the Order of the Arrow.
Well, there's really no second degree.
Right.
It's brotherhood where you become a full
Member of the
There's
order.
no rank in the Order of the Arrow.
Correct.
There's one honor, the Vigil honor. So let's move forward.
Okay.
And here we go. I designed next the Distinguished Service Award certificate, where I did a 3-dimension of the arrowhead with the arrow going through it. These are some designs I did for an OA Indian seminar. This is the illustration I did of the Distinguished Service Award in airbrush, and that appeared in the the Order of the Arrow.
Bulletin or...
No,
newsletter?
in the Order of the Arrow, the Order of the Arrow booklet, but it was done in black and white. There was one book where I turned everything, I thought it would be very cool, every picture that filled a page would be stippled rather than a half-tone art. It was very cool at the time. These are two patches which I did right at a conference. Now, why I want to show it to you, they are arrowheads, not an arrow. No one would say that's an arrow. That's an arrowhead. So that was the problem with the arrow being used. So let's go on. Now, I was not, I think I told you, each conference was a contest. And when the emblem was selected, I would do the finished artwork. All right? And then I would do it in all kinds of forms because Ginny Hudak needed one for mugs, which only took 4 colors, one for patches, which you could do several colors, one for neckerchiefs that were also limited, t-shirts that were also limited. And I want to share this that just came to my head. Over the years, working for National, I convinced them to start using colored t-shirts. Rather than thinking of white shirts, which is an undershirt, I sold the idea, I don't know when, in the 70s, to use colored t-shirts, okay?
For conference shirts
So-
that are sold at Trading Post.
Well, it's not meant to, I don't care about the selling of it,
Right.
but think of t-shirts as a uniform, okay? And it was also used at jamborees. And also, I convinced them to use nameplates. Nameplates were only used by instructors. And I met this Walter Wenzel, who was head of the Uniform Insignia Committee. I said, why not have these at jamborees? Well, they did it, and they got out of hand with it. They started to decorate it too much. I don't believe in reputation of the jamboree emblem, but that's what they did. Now, these are some of the drawings that I did. You see this thing I did at Philmont, I cut off the back of the arrow. It's much larger now, okay? But a few people saw it. They didn't see it, well, they didn't see it as a major change. I started to experiment with the arrow by cutting off the back of the arrow. That's heresy. Why would you cut the arrow? The beautiful back of the arrow. Well, here is one and here is another. And this is an original drawing of one conference I did. And and this is the 75th, what is this? What does it say?
1979, I think, National Conference or whatever.
No, what is this here?
Oh, the National Leadership Seminar.
I did that. And one year, this year, they came to me and said, Michael, we couldn't choose a design. Would you design it? So my theory is I was taught, if it doesn't work in one color, it doesn't work. So I handed it in one color, gave them 2 designs. They chose this, and I colored it in, and that was it. So here's another conference emblem I designed. Okay, so.
Well, then let's go on to this.
Yes.
But it was with those first patches and stuff that you introduced an emblem, a presentation signifying the Order of the Arrow, did not have a Native American chief on it, did not show a full arrow. It showed the arrowhead and a part of the shaft, but it made it much more pronounced and centered.
Right, it's heresy, really, to cut off the back of the arrow.
It had never been done before.
But I take bold steps to make things work. I see the problem, and I change the rules. So I designed the 75th anniversary of World Scouting because I worked for the World Bureau for almost 20 years.
World Bureau is headquartered out of Switzerland.
They were headquartered in Switzerland, but everything's changed now. They're headquartered in the Far East. And I designed this emblem. And I said, 75 really works, a number. So I did this. And they really liked it. And I drew this, they wanted a turtle there. I drew the turtle. And here is a stipple illustration with dots so they could show it. I did the
75th Anniversary Award at Drop Ribbon.
I did the actual, they depended on me to do all the artwork. They couldn't deal with the national
Because this is the
staff.
first time we had a different drop ribbon, if I recall.
Yes.
Because all we had was the arrow drop ribbon
Right.
up to this point, but now
Right.
it was a turtle with the 1915
Right.
emblazed on it. These are a gold
Well,
tone.
There was a contest for the national conference, and as you know, it's a contest. But I submitted my design because I felt the 75th anniversary logo should be used as the main venue. And this is the design I did, the two designs I did. Okay, you can see the arrow penetrating above this odd shaped emblem. Below and above. Now the arrow is very big and very strong. Here it is in color. And then I did it as a triangle. And here it is as a triangle. Very strong. Now, but only a few people saw it at the planning conference, and they chose another design using the turtle. Okay, so that was destroyed, and only a few people saw it, and I was working on it time and time again, trying to get it in there. I thought it was a great device. So
this is the evolution. So again, now we're in 1990, 75th anniversary. Anchored off of your work for the national, or the World Scouting Movement, what would be awesome.